here. That's thank you. That's a great option. 9 months. Actually, we don't hear really talk about this. And James, she's made better.
Oh, we've got. I'd call this meeting to order.
Are you presenting in place of Shannon?
They are coming.
They are coming.
It's like 4 of us.
Okay. All right.
And if not,
Gonna wing it.
it's all right, then we'll jump right in. At this time, the commission sets aside an opportunity for voters and taxpayers to address the commission. If you would like to do so, please begin by stating your name and residential address. Commissioners do have other meetings at 10:15 today, so we're on a little bit of a tight schedule. We have meetings all day. In any event, we do have a 3-minute rule, which we'd appreciate your courtesy on. Under those terms and conditions, is there anyone who would like to address the commission at this time?
Morning. Is Dave having knee surgery today or something?
No,
It's meeting with the governor
Just
today.
meeting with the governor.
I'm going to do things a little bit differently this morning. So I appreciate it. So I'm going to pray first before we start. Lord, we thank you and praise you for this time that we have. I want to give you all the glory that you deserve. We know we have a nation that's in dire straits right now. And we pray that we would turn to you for guidance and direction during this time. Help us all, Lord, to look to you, be concerned. We follow you in everything we say and do. This morning, I'd like to just mention the fact here some things. Policy is the experiment with the Wahoo lab. That was funded by taxpayer money. Big Pharma is a shocking move to medicate kids without parental consent. And Big Pharma has a lot to do with this because they are trying to be in a position where they can make a lot of money. And not everyone trusts their doctors quite like they used to, because doctors have led them wrong in this, and they took the shots too. Top health officials admit hospitals faked the death from the death COVID part. And I listened to a program yesterday about a congressional meeting that covered vaccine injuries. And the person in charge of this was Congresswoman Greene, and the people there were Robert Malone, Dr. Kimber, and Russ. And I'm reading this in for the first time. And attorney from Ohio. Yeah. Didn't have time to put your glasses on. Attorney from Ohio, Thomas Renz, and Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, I mentioned, head of this group. And the words from here on will cover what the meeting and what was said through that. I'll then turn it over to Judy.
The first one to speak was this attorney Thomas Renz from Ohio, and here's his comments. These are the quotes from these people. I had to write rapidly, and I don't take shorthand. It is factual that Ohio did promote this. Ohio had the facts, and yet they promoted something false. There were errors about the vaccine, but no transparency. Our soldiers are being killed by their military leaders. That is not good news, folks. Numbers should have caused investigation, but there was none. There is no reason any military person should have been required to have the shot to enter or to be dismissed from the service. We lost many good persons. Military greatly suffers. The Department of Defense, they put out a message about the autopsies are being withheld. So guess what? The injured service person is not receiving benefits, and the families of those who have died are not receiving death benefits. Also, our armed forces are not well. So we have had even student doctors not able to enter universities or the military, and nurses, schools, and jobs, and teachers' jobs. And as he went on, he says, this is a violation of the First Amendment. And this is a quote, we weaponized medicine. Next, Dr. Robert Malone spoke, and he said, these are presenting toxic problems. They developed damage. They threw the rule book in the trash can. The only way government and pharmaceutical can be held responsible is when it is proved to be a fraud. But many in the government have their hands on this also. They scrubbed all this through. An extra DNA has been under scrutiny, and it turns genes around, fetal cells, bone cells, etc. Rules are that you don't draw conclusions without extreme investigation, but the FDA and the pharma are locked together. FDA just took Pfizer's word about their product, did no investigation on their own. Birth defects and cancer, this is what Dr. Kimberly Biss spoke of, and she is a gynecologist and obstetrician. Congress, then they would have had, everybody was speaking on these words. Congress is going to have to decide if protecting America's citizens is more important than protecting big pharma business. This is the only and the largest medical experimentation without consent. And this is the worst thing that has ever happened to the people born in USA. And those were the ends of my notes from the thing. I would have to add, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to the whole world. And we know that every branch of government has had its hand in this and received something in return.
Please.
But truth is coming out and will not hide forever. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to address the
There
commission?
is a website you can go to see this whole thing.
Anyone else would like to address the commission at this time? Morning, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. Nick Bundren with the Ohio Land and Liberty Coalition. And I've been here a couple of times now talking about property rights and how that involves solar farms. But I wanted to clear a couple of things up. All across the state of Ohio, we hear about how property values for neighboring landowners tends to go down. And I wanted to present to you a study done by the Berkeley National Laboratory. It analyzed over 1.5 million home sales in the past year, just in 2023, on neighboring properties that neighbor solar farms. And it found that there was absolutely no significant change in property values. And that goes from everything from, single wides to big mansions to everything in between. So I just wanted to clear that up and remind everybody that our rights aren't at stake here. And we should listen to all the facts first before we make any decisions regarding our rights. And I'll conclude my remarks. Thank you.
Anyone else who would like to address the commission?
Jerry Fire, 3464 South Bank Road, Walnut Township, Millersport. I wasn't going to speak today. However, there are numerous studies out that do talk about the property values that are lowered from anywhere from 5 to 30%, depending on what area. If that Berkeley study was in California, then that's understandable because solar is big out there. However, California right now is taking some of their solar fields offline because they have the sunshine out there. So they have the solar panels, but they don't have the electric grid. And they're taking them offline and using gas and buying energy from other states. As far as property rights, we have property rights too. People that don't have solar fields, okay? People next to the solar fields, their property rights, what about them? In the Eastern Cottontail project in Walnut Township, there are 86 properties that join the 12 properties that are leased. So you have adjacent properties, many of them, that are affected directly, and some of which are completely surrounded. And what about the mental stability of the people who live there and moved to the country to have not just peace and quiet, but the views of farmland and that type of thing. And we're hearing a lot about mental illness and that type of thing in today's world. And, especially since COVID, people are going off the rails just for seemingly minor situations. This is not minor. And I know the Supreme Court has recently ruled in favor of a couple of projects that the Ohio Power Siting Board denied. And they are apparently just ignoring the will of the people. And the Ohio Chamber of Commerce is behind also the big solar because they think it's going to solve the renewable problem or the energy problem. It is not in the state of Ohio. But they're looking at other states because there are 13 states plus Washington, D.C. involved with the PJM Regional Transmission Organization, who basically controls where the energy goes. And I know for a fact that some of these fields, they have contracts with Verizon, Amazon, there's going to be Intel using up the energy through contracts. I know it gets uploaded to the grid, but that's where the power that they need is actually going to go. Part of that was stated by a big solar company that states that they are selling that power for their big solar project to Amazon.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to address the commission at this time? We thank you all for coming. Under no particular item on our agenda, I just wanted to let folks know that the commission did receive a communication from EDF within the past week, indicating that they intend to be out on some of the properties that are under option or lease or something apparently doing some environmental research or some sort of work. I don't fully understand it. But I just wanted to mention that to folks so that when you see people possibly out there in the fields or something, it could give the appearance that the project is underway. But our understanding from the memo we received is that it's part of their research or due diligence or whatever in anticipation of potentially filing an application at some point in the future. That's our understanding of it in any event.
We get a copy of that.
It's all in record.
Just with me after the meeting.
Yes, you may.
And they also had contact information if there were additional questions or concerns in the letter.
And I just mentioned that because a number of folks have asked us to advise them when we hear of potentially material developments or issues. And that's the only thing I recall from this past week that was of any significance. We have some folks with us today. Shannon, come on down.
Let's get the coolest uniforms.
OH, good morning. Thank you for letting us take just a few minutes.
Thank you.
This morning, just to share a little bit of what we've been doing with OSU Extension. My name is Shannon Carter. I am a family consumer sciences educator and area leader with OSU Extension here in Fairfield County. And so what you have before you is a contingent of educators. These are the 4 educators. We have other staff that help support and augment what we do, but we're here to give you a brief overview of basically our programs and what we've been able to accomplish here lately. And Carrie's going to start us off.
All right, so as that gets loaded, we celebrated Ohio Local Foods Week this year. And it is set to be the second week of August. We've always done local food events. We did something different this year by packing a week full of different events. Thank you. And visited a variety of operations around Fairfield County, from breweries and wineries. We did some backyard gardening. And we celebrated local proteins during beef night. So we were able to get about $1,300 in grants to celebrate the week. So everything other than beef night, which included a meal and tastings, was free to the public. And we ended up with about 120 people that came out throughout the week. We sent out an evaluation. We got some really great feedback, and we're planning for next year and how we can partner with other operations, other producers across the county to give that opportunity to kind of build a platform so that consumers can have a chance to really talk to the producers. All right, so next up, our Master Gardener volunteers received a pretty great honor back on October 14th at the State Master Gardener Volunteer Annual Conference. They were awarded first place for Community and Background Local Foods Award. And this is a really special Master Gardener project within the county. It is partnered with Learning Never Ends, and we have 3 Master Gardeners have been working on this project for 6 years. And the project itself is known as the Green Machine. It was started to empower disabled adults to learn more about all aspects of gardening. It is located on Union Street in town, so it's a really great example of an urban garden as well. And it was a stop on our local foods event. So folks were able to go in and talk to the gardeners and see what's going on in town. So it was really great. Learning Never Ends actually rented a bus, and a bunch of the gardeners were able to come out and actually accept their award in person, which was really special. All right, so next up is spotted lanternfly. Who's heard of spotted lanternfly? All right. I brought my little friend here so you can see one in person, along with some ID cards. But spotted lanternfly is kind of our latest invasive insect, and it's as you can see, it's closing in on Fairfield County. So in March, there were 4 counties in the state that had infestations, and we ended the summer with 11 counties. So it's something we're going to be dealing with eventually. The good thing is it's not an outright plant killer. If you're familiar with aphids, they're kind of like big aphids. If you have just a few of them, not a big deal. If you have a bunch of them, then suddenly you have a problem. So it's all about managing the population of these insects. And, why do we care? Well, our specialty agricultural specialty crops, especially vineyards, are at risk for this. So if you enjoy visiting any of the great vineyards, wineries we have in Fairfield County, so that's a reason to care. Plus, they're just a general nuisance, especially when the populations boom. If you've been to New York, Pennsylvania, you may have experienced this insect. So I'm on the spotted lanternfly outreach team, and we had a pretty cool opportunity last month. So Penn State came to OSU, and as you might imagine, there was the opportunity for hitchhikers to come to OSU from all of those folks that were attending the game. So we actually spent some time talking to tailgaters, folks that were walking to the game. This is my colleague, Amy Stone, with a spotted lanternfly outfit on. As you can imagine, that drew some attention. And we had temporary tattoos also. So we were just talking to folks, trying to raise awareness, because more times than not, it is the public that is spotting this insect first, and they need to know how to identify it and report it. So kind of a cool opportunity. The Penn State folks were intimately familiar with this insect because they've been dealing with it for a lot longer than we have. But we actually partnered with Penn State Extension on this because Penn State Extension is kind of ahead of us right now because they, have had this insect for longer. So,
Can I ask a question on that?
yeah, absolutely.
Just, I'm listening, but I'm not putting my finger on what the problem is with the insect and then what the solution is.
Okay, yeah. So the problem is that the insect causes harm to some of our fruit crops. Especially, they've been shown to really have an affinity for vineyards. And because it's a non-native invasive insect, there's nothing to control its population. So once it gets someplace, then those populations tend to boom very quickly. And, if you think about like a tick, so diseases aside, if we have a couple ticks on us, not a big deal. If you're covered in ticks, suddenly you have a problem. And they're a sac-sucking insect, so that's how they do their harm. The solution is we do have insecticides that are already being used in vineyards to kill other insects. But the issue is, in the event of an infestation of spotted lanternfly, suddenly you're having to spray more often because these guys don't stay in one spot. They'll go from like the vineyard to the tree line and back. So because of that, it's increased spraying, which is an increased cost for producers. Plus, they just are kind of a general nuisance as well.
So following up on that, so when the Emerald Ash Borer came, it kind of came in and did its business and then it left.
Yeah.
Is that a similar situation here, or once they're here, and they're never gone?
Oh, we don't know yet. Because, they've only been in the United States since 2014. So we're kind of learning as we go here. But there have been areas that have experienced infestations in Pennsylvania that have been able to get populations under a comfortable control, I guess. Not necessarily eradication, but being able to get it under control.
Thank you.
Thank you. In addition to myself, I also have in our office Casey Funk and Diane Summers, who are SNAP Ed program assistants. So the three of us make up what you would call family consumer sciences programming in the county. And I do a lot of education in health and wellness, do a lot of programs on teaching people how to eat healthy, how to cook healthy, how to safely and properly store their food so they don't have to throw it away, because that is like throwing away money. So in fact, I'm teaching one today on stretching your food dollar for older adults. I work with individuals of any income level and any age. Casey and Diane work primarily with limited resource audiences. And they do a program a couple times a year. It's an intensive program called Cooking Matters, and they have just a few families. You can see the graduates there in the right picture. And they're folks that want to feed their family, but they don't have the skills to do that. And it's frustrating for them because they've never learned. So an example of just some of the programs we do with health and wellness. We also do a lot with finances and teaching people how to manage their money. And Real Money, Real World is a program that we do in the schools. It's financial literacy, and it's a great program. What we hope that the kids get out of this, and evaluation studies show this to be true, that kids are learning that education and training impact your income. That you have to think before you spend, because all your spending choices make a difference in your household budget. And finally, that kids are expensive, so think about that too. This year, we had the honor of Ohio Treasurer Sprague coming to visit one of our events, and this was at Rushville Middle School. I think Bennett was there to represent the commission, and we appreciate his help also in volunteering, as we take community volunteers to help staff the spending simulation day of this 6-day program. On day 5 is the spending simulation, and that's where the light bulb goes on for these kids, and they realize, wow, adulting is hard, and it's really neat to see that. So if you want a chance to come out and see that in person, we'd love to have you. We reach between 600 and 700 youth in Fairfield County every year with this program.
It is a great program, Shannon, and thank you for continuing to offer that.
And that is one that is done throughout the state. Almost every county in Ohio offers Real Money, Real World, and other states have purchased this program to replicate it. One of the reasons I love it is it's a partnership with our business community, and they love it. We have people, sometimes, I shouldn't say this, but sometimes too many that want to volunteer. We're like, well, can you come to a different one? Because it's just, they love spending time with the kids. So we also do some public engagement with Keller Market. We go there a couple times a year doing their farm market. The blender bike is a big hit. We also have this at our fair. So they learn to power a blender by pedaling on the bike. It's a big draw. Fruit yogurt smoothies, nothing exotic. And then Casey and Diane also spent some time at the JFS Family Night, engaging with families that they also work with those same children in school in the free and reduced lunch program schools, which is all of Lancaster City schools and many of our other county schools as well. So just a snippet of some of the programs we do. Any questions for Family Consumer Sciences? I won't be back up here at the end. I want to say thank you, because although, yes, we are OSU Extension and we are well branded, we would not exist in Fairfield County without the support of the commission.
Just a note, this week I was in a meeting with mostly county commissioners. I think it was put together by CCAO, but this was in advance of meetings to come regarding OSU Extension, and I guess some people are asking some questions about how that all works, and it's all working just the way it should, or maybe it should be changes, and I'm not educated enough on these issues to have any opinion on that. We appreciate y'all. We think to demonstrate that through certainly the budgeting process and other ways. But we'll see how those conversations go, and listen and learn, and then hopefully contribute meaningfully to that discussion.
It's great. I'm excited you guys are going to be a part of that. So.
All right, so we're fortunate in Fairfield County that we have 2 4-H educators, and we also have program assistant Haley Black in our office that helps a lot of behind the scenes. If you're not familiar, 4-H is kind of outside of school youth organization and youth development for kids ages 5 to 18. And so for us in Fairfield County, our year is very stretched out. We start in March, in February, March with our beginning of the year, and then we end with the county fair, and then we're getting ready for end of year stuff right now. So it's hard for us to kind of share everything we do, because there's a lot of ways for kids to get involved and be involved in our programming. So we picked just a couple of things to highlight for you. So the first one are kind of outside of fair, which Leslie will talk about. is our Skillathon. So this is an education opportunity that all exhibitors who have livestock, whether 4-H or FFA, have to go through. And so they have to, it's kind of a hands-on skills station. They have to go through 4 different areas. They have to talk about the breeds they have within their species, parts. They have to be able to identify parts of feed, and then they have a book review as well as an interview with an adult, which can be challenging for some kids, or depending on their age, could be a first-time experience for them. Then if you're a numbers person, Leslie included a lot of our numbers of how many exhibitors we have across the county. The majority of these are 4-H members, and some of them show multiple species, and some of them just show one. I'll let Leslie take over from here.
And in that last picture, that young gentleman was looking at feeds on the table at a close eye, identifying the different ingredients in a livestock feed for a Skillathon. I wanted to recognize today our Junior Fair Board members. If you were at the county fair in October, you maybe noticed some red jackets on some young people, and those are our Junior Fair Board members that I have the pleasure and opportunity to supervise throughout the year. So we currently have 27 teams from across the county that are 4-H and FFA members, representing not just 4-H clubs, but most of the FFA chapters across the county. And they must have at least 1 year of fair exhibits to apply and participate as a Junior Fair Board member. Our applications will be due in January for next year's fair, but these kids work with me as well as about 6 other adults throughout the year at different meetings, and we do trainings on how to run livestock shows, but we do a lot of team building with them as well because they're coming in from different backgrounds from across the county. We also have the neat opportunity to travel with them to visit other county fairs. So this year, they actually went all the way up to Van Wert County and Darke County, and I think that's a great way for these kids to not only get to know each other, but see how other county fairs are run and bring ideas back to Fairfield County Fair and implement them. Fairfield County Junior Fair is now in the rearview mirror. Just to kind of give you a snapshot on some numbers, we had almost 1,200 exhibitors that had projects at the fair, and that is not just livestock. In total, they had almost 4,000 entries, which is huge. We are probably one of the top 10 or 12 county fairs in the state with our numbers for Junior Fair. The numbers there that are listed down through each of our departments aren't necessarily a representation of exhibitors or actual animals, but it's the number of entries we had per department, because we don't have 67 dairy cattle in the barn, but those kids can show not just the animal in its class, where it is judged based on the quality of the animal, but they can also show in showmanship, which is based on the exhibitor's ability to present that animal to the judge in its best way. So a lot of participation there. On the very bottom of the list, you can see that we had 490 FFA shop and miscellaneous projects that were entered at the fair, and those were on display in the Ed Sands building. And then we also had 445 non-livestock projects completed this year in July that were on display in that Ed Sands building in the 4-H booth. So we have a lot of kids in this county that participate in 4-H that have no participation with animals, and that's one of our selling points in 4-H when we go out into the schools, is that you do not have to have the means to take care of animals if you cannot physically do that or financially do that. 4-H has over 200 different projects that you can take in Ohio, and anything you can dream up, we likely have a project for it, or they can participate through self-determined projects, which is where they actually create their own project and then go through project judging with an adult in the summer. We also wrapped up the county fair with the Junior Fair livestock sale, so you might recognize some faces in that photo. We are pleased to have the continued support of the community and the commissioners at the livestock sale. We sold 664 animals at the sale through individual and group sales lots. It's a 2-day sale that generated over $1 million this year. And that is not just the price per pound that the kids get for selling their market animal to a packer, but it's the money that's above that helps support these kids in their livestock projects. It is expensive to raise a farm animal for market, and so the continued support of community members and businesses is really important in contribution to those kids to help pay their feed bills, pay for their livestock that they bought initially and help them save for college and maybe expand their livestock operations for future years in 4-H and beyond. So one other thing that I have here on the slide is our Buyers Club. This year we had $13,400 donated by businesses who were maybe not physically able to attend the sale and support the kids, but they basically contribute to a pot of money, and then our sale committee actually helps bid up animals so that there's kind of this, bottom average that is good for all kids. So they bid other buyers up, and they also have bought animals using that $13,000. So that has really helped out the kids get a little bit more money in their pockets to help pay those bills and save for the future. And as we wrap up this morning, I also wanted to recognize our support staff in the office, Eileen Gundelfinger and Stacy Hicks. They not only support 4-H, but they support all of our program areas and extension at the office. And we definitely want to recognize them today. And as we look forward to 2024, we're busy getting calendars ready with programs and events. On the 4-H side of things, if you know any young people or adults that want to get involved in the 4-H program, now is the time to talk to us. We are looking to add 4-H clubs in different areas of the county where we are short. We have about 55 clubs in the county currently, but there's definitely a need to grow that number in the Canal, Baltimore, and Pickerington areas. Adults can serve as 4-H advisors or 4-H volunteers. They go through a volunteer process with us with an application, background check, and interview, and then we help work with them to do all the things they need to do to run a 4-H club in the county and supervise those kids that want to be a member in that particular club. Our 4-H members our potential 4-H members can now reach out to us, their families can, and get on a list. We'll start pairing them up with clubs in February and March, and most of our clubs start meeting in February or March, so we want to be sure that we get them before the ball starts rolling so that they can participate in 4-H next year. So, any questions?
Just a couple if I might. On the livestock auction front, Commissioner Fix was very diligent in hitting that rate. Commissioner Levesey received a bill.
Yes.
Commissioner Davis didn't receive a
I
bill.
will check on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know that if buyers did not check out on sale days, they did not mail them till November 1st, but you should have gotten something by
I
now.
heard that. I
Yeah.
did make a couple calls because as the days went by, I thought,
Yeah.
well, I don't want to be the guy who got his picture taken and never paid us.
Yeah, you won't be on that list.
You got billed twice, so.
Yes, I will check on that. So, the biggest thing was.
Give me a number to call and I
Yeah.
I want to pay.
Yeah, we'll take care of that.
Commissioner Fix.
So, thank you all. The fair and the 4-H, that's the most visible part of what you do because, everybody goes to the fair and there's hundreds of kids running around doing stuff. In the events that you have, the awards nights and the ceremonies that, sometimes we get to come out and shake the hands and congratulate the kids. Every time that we do that, I come back to this meeting and talk about how much better I feel about the future of our country because those kids are so awesome. So I know that doesn't happen by accident. And so I just wanted to say to all of you, thank you for everything you're doing to help, bring those kids along and put them on the right path. Because I think it really does make a difference. And that's what we're all here for. So thank you.
Hey, before you guys go, could we get a picture with you guys in front of our beautiful blue board?
I don't know, do we have the date on a sticker?
Yeah.
That would be good.
Dave's in the truck and we don't have time for me to run down.
Go.
Dave rides with me everywhere I go.
Put them in your basket.
Yeah, you guys in the back.
1, 2, 3. 2, 3. Great, big heels.
Folks, on behalf of the commission, we appreciate the work that you all are doing. Appreciate your update today. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks, ladies.
The update on legal.
I have nothing specifically to update today.
Okay. Thank you. Administration update.
All right, so we have some updated information regarding the sheriff's office parking lot perimeter fencing and secure entrances. John, you want to share that?
So I really searched hard for an image of the hybrid fence barrier idea that we discussed. So I didn't find anything that really, I think, exemplifies what we're looking for. So you have it in your mind, a masonry base with a drop iron look aluminum picket top. So we went back to our general contractor, and he is still refining the numbers on that. And that would be somewhere at least now north of 750,000. The raw iron look aluminum fencing, we have a solid number there, and then obviously you've had that solid number on the barrier type of fencing, chain link, as you would know. So we have all those numbers except for the masonry one. That's involving a new subcontractor, so he has to get that spot.
Understood. And this is a tough issue. Sheriff's Office leadership has made us aware of a number of concerns, what I'll call the rear parking area, where a lot of the deputies have their personal vehicles, and there have been some problems there. And we want to be responsive to the concerns that have been raised to us. Back in the 13, 14, 15 range, for publicly discussing building the jail, a number of opponents of that project said that we were going to put chain link fence all around the place and Constantine wire on top, and then it was going to look like a prison. And we promised that it wouldn't, in so many words. And so I want to balance the commitments that we've made to the public during those tumultuous years of debate with the concerns that have been brought to us by leadership. I think an aesthetically appropriate masonry project fits with addressing the concerns that leadership has raised and is consistent with the conversations that we had with the public so many years ago. So in spite of the larger costs, I favor that approach because I think it's important for us to say what we do and do what we say. And that project fits that. So, I guess, what price are you going to put on your public integrity? There isn't a price.
Yeah, and we'll get some tighter details as we got more direction with that. We would want it to be in that scalability of that smaller area. This obviously, as mentioned, won't be seen from Memorial Main Street. This the Wheeling Street side, what we call the rear parking lot.
Right, and I understand, the location that we're describing, which would be directly across the street from what used to be known as Miller Park. Perhaps it's still called Miller Park, just doesn't look like a park anymore. And I understand the fencing that the city, not the county, has installed around that location. But that's on them, that's not on us. And I don't think we need to, go back on our word just because somebody across the street put an ugly fence up.
Oh, yeah, sure. I was just kind of getting the frame of what the rear.
No, I understand. Commissioner Fix, questions or comments on this?
No, I wasn't part of that process, but I respect that commitments were made to the public and am supportive of finding a way to have us as a commission live up to those commitments.
You feel like you have adequate direction?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I guess I would say too, I am, like on my hind legs opposed to anything that starts with chain link. I'm willing to look at everything above that, but I do tend to lean towards the masonry project because I think I think a good contractor could find a brick that is consistent with the existing,
We make it match the building.
match the building, and I think it ended up looking nice, you know, and serving a security purpose. While we're on the jail, I just wanted to mention to folks, there was some recent news regarding an inmate escaping from the jail. You know, the devil's in the details on that. That inmate was never in the jail. Kind of hard to escape from a jail you were never in. But we're understanding is that there was a transport, perhaps from a mental health facility. And as that transport was arriving and before the doors had closed on the entryway, the inmate decided to take off. Again, had not been processed into the jail at that point, was found and invited back to the jail about an hour and a half later. Accepted that invitation. But I just wanted to mention that because we take a fair amount of pride in that particular project, and particularly since it was so difficult to get done. And we've been on a number of tours through that jail, both private tours for a security standpoint and public tours. It would just be extremely difficult for an inmate to actually escape from that jail. I don't want to say never because I know there's a lot of creative felons out there or non-felons. But it just didn't happen. It had a little spin to it that I disagree with, I guess. But
What is the jail population?
I don't have this morning's number, but it's probably hanging out around 300 inmates. Capacity is 386. Continue.
All right. The Ohio Education Service Center Association presented our own Rick Zabrak with the Outstanding Leadership and Community Service Award. And I think you have it. Tony is proudly displaying it there for you.
Yeah, it's already true.
Oh, no.
Throw in the backseat.
Anything you want to add to that, Rick?
No, I mean, just we have a great partnership with the ESC. Our navigators are hired through the ESC. I'm the president of the Business Advisory Council through the ESC, which has shown a lot of improvement over the last couple of years, and it's great to be recognized. I said this is all of our efforts that we're doing in the county and at the Workforce Center that, frankly, no other counties are. So it's for all of us in Fairfield County to be recognized.
Is John getting to work on building you a trophy case out there at the Workforce Center? Congratulations. All right, moving on. Highlights of resolutions. The review packet does contain a list of administrative approvals. Resolution review. There are 20 resolutions on the for the agenda for the voting meeting. A couple I will point out for you. Resolution entering into agreement for the Coshocton Fairfield Licking Perry Solid Waste District for recycling and education services for 2024. We also have an agreement between our clerk of court's office and the Ohio Department of Public Safety for the administration of Class D skills tests by a third party. Brandon, do you want to add on to that at all?
Sure, that would be the title office in Pickerington will now be handling the driver's testing. So they'll do the maneuverability and the skills testing. So that was discussed during last year's budget hearing for this year. But there was some back and forth with the prosecutor's office, kind of ironing out the details in the contract. So thank you, Amy, Austin, and Stephen for working on that contract.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Brandon. And then we also have a resolution to assign authority to the Job and Family Services Director to serve as the designee for the Board of County Commissioners to approve inter-county adjustment agreements related to allocation of funds. This used to be something that could be in place for a longer period of time. Now it has an annual expiration. So this allows Corey and Josh to work with other counties when they're not spending their money, that we can take it and spend it for what we need. And if there's ever a situation where we haven't spent it in a particular area, we're able to make sure we're working with other counties and maximizing those resources. So there are some counties that don't look favorably on this approach. I'm not sure why, but it is definitely a good benefit for counties to make sure we're using all of that funding. Corey, anything on that?
Last year, I would say we were almost always the acceptor of those funds as opposed to the giver of those funds. And we did bring in quite a bit of funding last year through that process. So it's been very helpful.
Great, thank you. Clerk, budget review.
The only update I have this week is the unlimited budget entry access ends for the non-general fund departments on November 27th at 9 a.m.
Okay, all right. Does like a bell go off at 9 a.m.?
Yes.
Well, and Bart, I'm sure this goes without saying, but all three commissioners would be anxious to hear of any material changes in either the estimates or the anticipated expense for 2024. We're on a glide path to December 5th.
Yes, sir.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And if there's any change in that timeline, we would want to be made aware of that.
Yes, sir. That's all.
Yeah. Bennett, calendar review and invitations received.
Under calendar review and invitations received, the Governor's Executive Workforce Board meeting Tuesday, November 14th at 10 a.m. in Groveport. The Village of Bremen Land Use Plan meeting Tuesday, November 14th at 4 p.m. in Bremen. The Village of Sugar Grove Land Use Plan meeting Wednesday, November 15th at 4 p.m. at Byrne Union High School. Family and Children First Council full meeting Thursday, November 16th at 8:30 a.m. at the Ag Center. The Community Action Board of Directors meeting Thursday, November 16th at 11:30 a.m. at Alley Park Lodge in Lancaster. The Electronic and Shredding Recycle Day by Lancaster Fairfield Community Action Agency on Thursday, November 16th from 3 to 6:30 p.m. at the Recycling Center in Lancaster. The Ambassadors Club donor reception by the Fairfield County Foundation on Wednesday, November 29th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at Ale House. And the Recovery Center's 50th anniversary celebration open house on Tuesday, November 28th from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. here in Lancaster. Under correspondence, a letter from South Central Power dated November 7th, 2023. From the Office of the County Auditor, the wins of the week. Memo from Dr. Carrie Brown, County Auditor, November 8th. Subjects, thanks for attending the Making Numbers Count seminar. 2023 tier-end schedules, payroll schedules, and personnel change. I believe that's year-end. Letter from a Fairfield County resident regarding the Eastern Cottontail Solar Project. Thank you card from the Fairfield County Fair. Thank you card from a 4-H student for support of the Fairfield County Fair, and a liquor permit number 5003618 to Lancaster Golf Club LLC, located on 3100 Country Club Road in Lancaster.
Thank you, Bennett. That's all, Commissioner.
All right, under old business, I've got some meetings this afternoon, not of note. And then tomorrow, I look forward to a continued meeting with South Central Power and Buckeye Power. I think Ani and Rick and I are all going to be in that meeting. And the idea there is that the county is on a path to trying to ameliorate the in excess of $1.5 million that we'll spend on electricity next year. And so we're trying to negotiate a path forward that might bring that price down for the taxpayers. I don't have a solid feel as to whether that effort will be successful, but I'm a little bit reminded of the early days of the very contentious and difficult MCJDC negotiations when we all agreed that we had a 1% chance of success. And that turned out very well. So you're saying there's a chance. Commissioner Fix under old business.
So we're continuing our victory tour around Fairfield County. To the land use meetings. And every week I come back and I feel a little bit more positive about, the way things are going. Each conversation we have, we take something from and can adjust our plan a little bit here and there, either in the maps for a particular township or in some of the verbiage that we use. So it's worthwhile. It's a slog, right? To go out every night and for me to say the same thing over and over again and for all of our folks to hear it over and over again. But, just as an example, last night we were in Bloom Township. We had some celebrity guests last night. Bart Hampson came out and Shannon Carter came out. Shannon actually lives in Bloom Township, so it kind of made sense for her to be there. I just think Bart wanted to see what the show is all about. So thank you both for coming. But we started in a place where there, one home for every 2 acres and that's it. That's all we want. That's what our people say. And throughout the course of the evening, we were there almost 2 hours. A number of their residents talked about the need for a plan and that these guys need to actually, go in a different direction, right? Not saying they want to overrun the township with a lot of growth, but that they need to plan for growth and identify some areas where growth might occur. So little incremental steps like that make it worthwhile. I really want to thank Josh and Safa and Holly and Tony and Rick and Ani, and there's others who come out pretty much every night to answer the questions that I'm incapable of answering or answering better than I could. So it's a big effort, but we're making a difference and I really appreciate it. So that's all I have for old business.
Well, Commissioner, we continue to appreciate your leadership on that issue. I know that when the draft plan was first announced, there was a fair amount of opposition, if you will, or concern. And to tour the county the way you have with a lot of support, which I know continues, it's just a master class in public service. And I appreciate what you're doing there. I understand John Coaches has something relevant to say.
I'm just happy to announce that our office applied for and received a Fairfield Foundation grant for the community support to AED. So we've had a program for a number of years to replace batteries and pads and AEDs across the community in conjunction with the FMC program that buys the AEDs, and the Fairfield Foundation with an application written by Tiffany was successful. So thanks to Tiffany in my office for getting that.
Yeah, let me ask you about that. I remember years ago when AEDs were first brought to this building, we were all kind of given a little tutorial on how these things kind of operate themselves. They tell you exactly what to do. Has there been any change in that equipment that would make the training the brief training that we received years ago? Is that still the way it is, or should we be brushed up on that?
The
Or
machines are only getting smarter, so good for us.
okay,
There's some great advancements. The ones that HR coordinates for the county are really this next generation, or even smarter than the ones we had in the last. We're deploying more and more and more. I would just encourage people to look for and take a hands-only CPR course. That's really, in addition to an AED, one of the key factors of this kind of care.
maybe at some point in the future we could have a little demonstration in a listen and learn of a current machine and how it should be operated. I still feel like I'd freak out. It's like, call 911, and let's not do anything. You know what I mean?
We're one of the few that I know in the county in this building that AED was successfully used to assist. So, I think in the moment you are who you are, and I think you'll do just fine. Jump in there, but it takes some familiarization would help everyone.
So are you volunteering to be the?
I'm volunteering to be the patient, probably.
How about that? I don't know what's worse, the fact that we have to shave you or we need to,
Clean up. All right.
you have to do that.
We can bring a machine in to demonstrate this.
I would like to do that. No new business from me, Commissioner Fix.
No, thank you.
All right. And then, Brandon, how are you today? Good. Anything you'd like to share?
Nothing.
You haven't shared already. We appreciate you being on the Thank you. Dr. Brown.
I have a bit of a permanent smile on my face. I was able to travel to Missouri this past week and saw my grandson, who's 9, and he was the title role of an opera, Guatemala, and the Night Visitors. This is an amazing time to spend with the students at the Southern Baptist University, where that performance was held with those students. Tremendous experience. Later today, I'll be going to a group of realtors in Reynoldsburg to provide a presentation, and 2 other presentations this week for the County Auditors Association. That'll bring us to 50 for the year, and that was our goal, so we might exceed that if we do any in December. The Making Numbers Count seminar was a tremendous success. We've had a lot of very positive feedback about that, and folks have stated that they'd like to see more. They want more from that. And so we're going to be looking at that for 24, and appreciate the early adopters of ADAMH Health Department and DD, I believe, who will be implementing the new grant module. So that's interesting, that there are modules that aren't being used right now that we can implement at low or no cost. Vacation payouts will be on December 1st. I've had a couple people call and ask me what date that is, and the increases will be on January 12th. There was some confusion about those particular dates. In the real estate side, we are very excited that we have the abstract already approved. And if you're interested in what that number was, it's 5.9 billion. 5.9 billion is the assessed value of the real estate in Fairfield County. It's up about 1.8% over the prior year, and that's all based on new construction. The most material aspect of that change is new construction, which was more than 100 million. GIS Day is this week, and we're excited about the new technology and tools that will be introduced there. And just have a couple of thank yous as well jotted down. Thanks to Commissioner Fix for introduction relating to the Restaurant Association that has yielded some very good results in terms of the volunteer programs in the prisons and to help connect with jobs. I mean, I was told that there would be not one, but multiple jobs available to folks if they have this particular curricula, fold it into our curricula. And then thank you to HR for the EAP adjustment, because we've had several people indicate that they appreciated the addition of children in that particular program. And then Commissioner Fix had mentioned some questions relating to the effect of development on assessed valuation. And because folks haven't called me back when I've called about that, I will draft up a couple paragraphs that'll just be available for everyone for that.
Thank you. And so if I may, quickly, I was on the committee for the Ohio Restaurant Association that deals with, getting people into work. We talked about the program that you're working on with them and how they want to use that as a model. So thank you for your efforts in that. It's going to help the Restaurant Association find employees for their restaurant businesses and help people who are leaving the, I can't remember the politically correct way to say it, but leaving jails and getting back into the workforce. So it's a reentry program, but it's justice involved, I think is the phrase that they used. Thank you.
So just a note here about what we're up to in the next few minutes. Here shortly, we'll go into our voting pattern. Following the voting pattern, we anticipate the need for a brief executive session regarding the potential acquisition of real property. Following that executive session, we do not anticipate any further business being conducted in this meeting. So we would anticipate a mere adjournment following that brief executive session. Is there any other issue item that anybody needs to bring the attention of the commission at this time? Hearing none, if you would please rise if you are able. Join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Bennett, do we have any announcements?
No announcements, Commissioner.
Move on to the approval of minutes for Tuesday, November 7th, 2023 regular meeting.
So moved.
Second discussion. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Minutes passed 2-0.
Move on to the approval of roundtable minutes for Tuesday, November 7th, 2023.
So moved.
Second discussion. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Roundtable minutes pass 2-0. From the Commissioners, Resolution 2023-11.14.a, a resolution entering into an agreement between Fairfield County and the Coshocton Fairfield Licking Perry CFLP Solid Waste District for recycling services and education services for 2024.
Your Commissioners, I move items A and B.
Second discussion. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. From the Fairfield County Auditor Finance, Resolution 2023-11.14.c, a resolution to approve the rescinding of resolution number 2023-11.07.e.e. that requested the repayment of an advance to the general fund from Fund 2503 Police Revolving.
Fairfield County Auditor, Finance, I move items C and D.
Second discussion.
These two resolutions are just where Megan has been helping the sheriff's office with some accounting procedures.
Further discussion. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Fix?
Yeah.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. From the Fairfield County Clerk of Courts Title Division, Resolution 2023-11.14.e, a resolution entering into an agreement between Fairfield County Clerk of Courts and the Ohio Department of Public Safety, Ohio Bureau of Motor Vehicles for the administration of Class D skills tests by a third party.
So moved.
Second discussion. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. From the Fairfield County Economic and Workforce Development, Resolution 2023-11.14.f, a resolution to approve the recommendation for the RLF loan for Smart Start Commercial Services LLC to be written off.
So moved.
Second discussion.
Rick? Yes.
It was a COVID relief money, one of the first ones we made. Small commercial cleaner up in Pickering. It was risky, but that's what the loans were for. So it's our only write-off in 5 years. We made lots of attempts to collect.
Thanks.
Further discussion. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. From the Fairfield County Engineer, Resolution 2023-11.14.g, a resolution to appropriate from unappropriated in a major expenditure object category, County Engineer 2024 motor vehicle for contractual services.
For Fairfield County Engineer, I move items G, H, and I.
Second discussion. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. Fairfield County Family and Children First Council, Resolution 2023-11.14.j, a resolution authorizing the approval of an advance from the general fund to Safe Communities Subfund number 8195 or 6081-9522.
Fairfield County Family Adult Children First Council, move items J, K, L, and M.
Second discussion. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. From Fairfield County Job and Family Services, Resolution 2023-11.14.n, a resolution to approve additional appropriations by appropriating from unappropriated into a major expense object category, Fund Number 2072, Children's Services Fund.
Fairfield County Job and Family Services, I move items N and O.
Second, discussion? Please call to roll.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. For Fairfield County Juvenile and Probate Court, Resolution 2023-11.14.p, a resolution to appropriate from unappropriated in a major expenditure object category for Juvenile Court Fund Number 2641 IVE Fund.
So moved.
Second, discussion? Please call to roll.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. From the Fairfield County Sheriff, Resolution 2023-11.14.q, a resolution approving an account-to-account transfer into a major expenditure object category.
For Fairfield County Sheriff, I move items Q and R.
Second, discussion? Please call to roll.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. From Lancaster Fairfield Community Action Agency, Resolution 2023-11.14.s, a resolution authorizing the release and satisfaction of mortgage on a PY 2016 Rehab Construction Community Housing Impact and Preservation Program, CHIP, for Lindsay Lusher.
So moved.
Second, discussion? Please call to roll.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. For the payment of bills, Resolution 2023-11.14.t, a resolution authorizing the approval of payment of invoices for departments that need Board of Commissioners approval.
So moved.
Second, discussion? Please call to roll.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. The next regular meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, November 21st, 2023 at 9 a.m.
Is there any other issue item that anybody would like to bring to the attention of the commission at this time? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to go into executive session to discuss the potential acquisition of real property. In that session, I'd like to have representatives from the prosecutor's office, county administrator, deputy county administrator, Bennett, John Coaches, Rick Zabrak, and the commissioners. And that meeting will occur in Commissioner Fix's office.
Second.
Please call to roll.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
The commission is in executive session. Upon our conclusion of that meeting, we anticipate an adjournment. Thank you all for being with us today.